All right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, citizens of YouTube. It's Pastor Dow. It seems like that, I know it's the winter time, winter months here, and things slow down a little bit, but, we have a lot of work we have on the inside, and there are just some things that I have to pick and choose what I'm going to address concerning situations that people bring to me. Let me say this. This is the reason why it's important to have either a home fellowship or a local assembly to where you can have wise men who know the law, know the Torah, the instructions, and able to adjudicate matters and do it fairly. The problem that we're having is that we have people who have a dual spirit, a double mind. One minute they want justice from the scriptures, then the next minute they want to run to the world. That is definitely an unjust system. And you can't have it both ways. You're going to have to figure out what you're going to do at any given time. And what I want to deal with here, and because the question is asked more than once, and it's like that women seem like that they don't have a recourse. First of all, number one, women, if you are in, sisters, I understand the religious tenets and orders of today. I understand them very well. I know even what religious doctrines say very well, but I know what the Bible says more than anything. And if you are in a particular marriage where you have a husband who is philandering around with another man's wife, thereby committing adultery, which is against Torah, or if he's run around laying with these women, whoredoms, not making any covenants whatsoever at all, and putting you at risk and at jeopardy of some type of venereal disease. Because, you have to understand that we're quickly approaching, and well over 60% of the U.S. population has some form of some type of venereal disease. And going out here having sex, illicit sex with people nowadays what do you call it? The Russian roulette? That's what you call it. I don't know. It's obvious that in marriages that there is inequality in some places. Most time people feel like that they are very vulnerable, especially wives, against an abusive husband or a husband that is very irresponsible. Against a husband that they feel like, it's obvious that they're at a disadvantage because this man could be very callous and very insensitive as a husband. And I can go on and on and on. And so the question of the hour is can a woman leave a man? Can a woman get a divorce from a man? Of course, there's equality all throughout the scriptures and stuff. And if we just go from the low base point, very low base point of a slave, servant, or concubine, you know what I mean? And let's just use those because, and nothing about those are demeaning, negative, or in any type, shape, fashion, form, nor are they derogatory. We live in a world today where both husband and wife are derelict in their duties. And it's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. People have literally no honor today to try to at least do things right, to attempt to do things right. And ever since I've been talking about biblical marriage, I've been having more and more questions come my way concerning these situations and stuff, because if you got someone, let's say a husband that is forbidding his wife of food, clothing, conjugal rights, all those grounds for separation, grounds for divorce. Well, I would definitely grounds for divorce, but you have to realize as a woman, when you come into the marriage, if you get divorced, you are to leave and go out with nothing. That's the one thing you need to understand. And I want to get into a situation here. I want to show you coming from the law. Now, if the law applies, to servants, then it automatically goes up just because it's not saying wife, woman, or whatsoever. I'm just going to touch on this just for a moment because the subject of divorce and even remarriage or divorce, it's very extensive. You know what I mean? Nobody should have to be in a situation of abuse, and I'm not talking about where you perceive you have emotional abuse because your husband's not doing what you say. I'm speaking where he is being verbally abusive towards you and very disrespectful and dishonor towards you. You know, he's firing insults your way. He's constantly demeaning you, your character. Curses at you. I can go on and on and on and on and on. You know what I mean? Making you feel like whatsoever, you're not worthy or whatever. At the same time, you need to make sure that you're an honorable woman and that you being honorable can be verified by people in, I'll use terms people are familiar with, local congregations or whatsoever. Because the truth is nobody has to remain in a abusive relationship. I mean, I'm not abusive to my wife in any way, shape, fashion, form. And most people try to misjudge me based on the character way I minister. The way I minister is not the way I behave in my home. It's not the way I have to speak with my wife. It's just simply not. And of course, if a wife wants to leave a husband, immediately the first thing that happens is that a husband wants to seek a counterclaim to be able to counter whatever she is saying. Of course, now the burden of proof is definitely on you because with women today, so many of them, it's hard to believe that a woman, a good woman, will want to leave a good man. I'm providing that she is a good woman again, but this has to be verified. Has to be verified by the congregation. Let somebody else's lips praise her. Her works should praise her. And this is traits about her that is definitely acknowledged among the camp, and it can be verified. So, if she comes up with some type of a thing that she just simply can't take it no more. She's tried to love this man, and this man can't be loved. She's tried to obey him. She's tried to do everything she could to satisfy the relationship, but the guy's just totally abusive. He's a philanderer. He's verbally abusive, physically abusive. He's irresponsible. Doesn't take care of his duties. Derelict in his duties. You're in some type of unbearable conditions. I can go on and on and on, because there's just so many situations. But let's just go ahead and narrow this thing down. Let's go over to Devarim 23, verse 15 to 16. Now listen to this. Now this is a servant, a law of a servant. And mind you, a wife carries a higher status than that of a servant. It says, "Thou shalt not deliver unto his master the servant which is escaped from his master unto thee." Now, why does the Torah say that? The Torah clearly says that if a servant runs away from his master, then you're not, and he's escaped from you, you're not to deliver that servant back unto that master. In verse 16 it says, "He shall dwell with you, even among you, in the place which he shall choose, in one of thy gates where it liketh him best, you shall not oppress him." Now, if the law is speaking that clearly about a servant, does not the wife have even a greater status in herself? Does she not have a greater status in herself? You see, for a woman to demand a divorce from a man, it's got to be linked to some type of situation. There's some mental abuse, verbal abuse, physical abuse. There's a lot of things going on behind the scenes that you and I may not be aware of. It's all kinds of things that go on. Does she have a right to actually get out of an abusive situation like this or unbearable conditions? Yes, but again, this is why I say that the testimony of those in Israel, the testimony of the camp, the testimony of those who abide by, this is why adjudicating matters after the Torah, after the instructions, come in so plainly. Can a woman run away from an abusive situation? Can she run away from a situation? And when I mean run away, I mean divorce. Can she demand a get? Or can she demand a divorce. Today they keep calling it ketubah and all this other stuff, and I don't go along with that. I just go strictly with what the book says, because no one can deny that there are inequalities that are taking place. I mean, today there's such an abusive spirit coming from both men and women. And why do they want to abuse someone who they say they have a covenant with is beyond me. Nevertheless, it still happens, though. It still happens. I just don't understand a lot of these things, but I do know this, that a woman has a right to be just as much free from a tyrannical husband as a husband has to be free from a wife who is derelict in her duties and will not perform her duties as a wife. That is just the truth in either way, shape, fashion, form. But before you go any further with this, that's why it's so important that you have people in place that know how to adjudicate matters. Pastor Dowell is not in your situation. I can't give you an answer for your home situation. I can't give you an answer for your home situation and then bring closure to your situation, because I don't have all the light for this situation. I do know that when husband and wives are at odds with each other, that they begin to throw out all kinds of things, and they begin to speak from their emotions rather than facts. And I'm not denying any allegations that's coming forward, but the problem is we have nobody sitting by in the assembly, and most of you won't even submit to assembly judgments anyway. So those who are looking for recourse, those who are looking for justice, they have to go to their pastors and elders. Now, for those of you who don't have an assembly, you have nobody to adjudicate your matters. You have no answers for what you do, because meaning you're going to run to the unjust of the world and try to satisfy a situation that's not going to be done right according to the instructions. Now, mind you, I'm only talking to believers, but it takes those who know the Torah. It takes those who know the scriptures. I hope I said something to bring some clarity here. I don't want any of your sisters, to feel like that you're actually trapped in a situation when you have someone who obviously that does not know how to be a husband whatsoever at all. Husband, love your wives as Christ loved the church. And he gave himself for it. And you have to ask yourself a question. Do you really truly love your wives, as the Messiah loves the assembly? Do you really truly do that? You give yourself for it. I mean, you give so. I mean, I got so many digressions, so many ways I can go with this. Abuse is hard to define and confirm if there are not people around to witness the behavior of the one you're laying allegations and charges against. And, the world try to free you, and they do it all the time, for being under church leadership. But when you look at the history of our ancient people, they had priests, they had elders, they had people in all different places to make sure that if something went awry, because we're going to have problems because of our fallen state and our sinful conditions, that somebody would be around, quite a few people, to adjudicate matters so fairness can go all throughout Israel. And not only that, so people can learn how to fear Yah. So I hope I said something that's going to help in some way, shape, fashion, form. That's all I can do. Have a wonderful day.